Hello everyone and welcome back to Coach Craig's Sports. Today is Thursday, November 3rd, and this is the NBA DFS video for today. So in today's video, we're going to be looking back at yesterday's picks, seeing how they turned out. Talking about the injuries in play for today's slate is only a 2-game main slate overall, so probably one that you want to play a little bit lighter. Going to have to get a little bit creative overall with some of the lineups tonight, and then going over to my core picks for both FanDuel and DraftKings for today as well. But without further ado, we'll get started with a recap of yesterday's picks. On the DraftKings side, at point guard, we had Davion Mitchell. He is $4,200. We're looking for 21 points out of him. Obviously, was playing in place of De'Aaron Fox. Looked like a pretty solid value overall. Was a very popular play. Only got to 16.25 points, so he ended up being a mess. Only played 29 minutes. Expected maybe a couple more there, and only ended up with 4 assists overall. So kind of a disappointing day for him overall. Then at shooting guard, we had Anthony Simons at $7,600. Looking for 38 points out of him. He got to 46.75, so he was a really good hit yesterday. At small forward, we had Scotty Barnes at $6,800. Looking for 34 points out of him. He obviously looked like a pretty good play with no Fred VanVleet yesterday. He only ended up with 29 points. He was a mess. He only ended up playing 28 minutes in this game, and it was a very, very large blowout against the Spurs, so that was kind of unfortunate there. If he gets his normal run at minutes, he probably pays off at his price tag. Then at power forward, we had Max Strus at $5,000. He was starting in place of Jimmy Butler last night. Looking for 25 points out. Unfortunately, only got to 19. He was a mess, and he mainly just scored the ball, not too much in terms of rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, or anything else like that, which you can kind of expect from him sometimes, but even in his bench role, he was still getting close to, 23 fantasy points per game. So was expecting just a little bit more with some additional minutes. Just did not end up paying off yesterday. And then at center, we had Bam Adebayo at $7,800. Looking for 39 points on him. He got to 42.25, so he was a pretty good hit yesterday overall. I said that him and Kyle Lowry looked pretty good once Jimmy Butler was ruled out. Tyler Hero actually ended up being the big one on yesterday's slate, but all three of those guys played very well overall. And then I had Domantas Sabonis in my core early on in the day if you still kept him around. Just because I switched off to Bam Adebayo didn't mean that you did not have to play him. He had a very good day as well. So a little bit of hit or miss yesterday, but some pretty good hits overall, but the misses kind of hurt as well. Then on the FanDuel side, we had Davion Mitchell once again, $4,900. We were looking for 24, 25 points. I got to 15.2. He was a miss. Once again, he only played 29 minutes, the 4 assists, not too much else there. And then at shooting guard, we have Max Strus as well at $4,800. Looking for 24 points out. He got to 19. Same story as on the DraftKings side, where he mainly just scored the ball, not too much else overall. Then at small forward, we had Scotty Barnes at $6,700. We were looking for 33, 34 fantasy points out. Got to 28.3. Obviously, he was a mess. He played 28 minutes. That game was a massive blowout. Once again, if he gets his normal minutes, he probably pays off at his price tag. Then at power forward, we had Bam Adebayo at $7,900. We were looking for about 39 fantasy points on him. He got to 38.2. I did end up giving him a push yesterday just because he was right in line with what we were looking for out of him. Obviously, would have liked it to be a little bit better performance, but if you played him and Domantas Sabonis at both your power forward spots, you were pretty set overall. And then last but not least, at center, we had Joseph Nurkic at $7,100. Looking for 35, 36 fantasy points on him. He got to 44.6, so he was a really good hit yesterday. A little bit of a hit or miss day overall, but if you had some other solid plays to go along with the core, you still had a pretty good chance of cashing. And me, myself, personally, had a pretty good day overall on both sites. So that was kind of good to see after a little bit of a down streak there for a little while, but looking to continue that once again today overall. But with that being said, we'll get moved over into the injuries in play for tonight's slate. Obviously, it is a 2-game slate. Once again, we are starting off right at 7 o'clock Eastern time, and then the other game is at 8 o'clock Eastern time, so relatively close together. So hopefully we know any news that we need to know prior to lock. So for the Golden State Warriors, Dante DiVincenzo and Andre Iguodala are both out once again. There's no changes for them. For the Orlando Magic, Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz, Gary Harris, Jonathan Isaac, and Mo Wagner are all out once again. Then we do have Terrence Ross listed as a game-time decision, questionable to play. He did get hurt the last time out. Jalen Suggs also returned to the lineup in the last time out. So if Ross does not play, we might see Suggs sneak back into that starting lineup, or he might just come off the bench once again and they put somebody else in there. That's definitely something to monitor on tonight's slate overall, since there could be a little bit of value opening up on this Orlando Magic's team. And at this point in time, there is not a ton of value overall on this slate, so you're going to have to take a couple shots on guys, maybe some bench pieces from some of these teams overall, if you're looking for a cheaper option on today's slate overall. Then we move over to the Denver Nuggets, who are without Colin Gillespie once again. Ish Smith and Bones Highland both questionable to play. We'll see who ends up playing out of those guys, if it's any of them. If not, we might see Bruce Brown get some backup point guard run. Obviously, probably doesn't matter quite as much. They might stagger Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray just a little bit more for ball handling duties, but that is something to monitor going forward. Then Oklahoma City Thunder do not have anybody listed as injured at this point in time. Josh Giddey did make a surprise return in their most recent game. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on all the injuries in play for tonight's slate. Obviously, a very quick rundown since we really only have 3 guys that we're looking out for. But if anything changes throughout the day, I will leave a comment down below, as well as any updates to the 3 players that we just did mention that were questionable for tonight's slate overall. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to DraftKings and talk about my core picks over there. So we're going to start off at the point guard position with Jamal Murray. He played his largest amount of minutes so far this season, last time out, 32 minutes. Going against Oklahoma City Thunder should be a decent little matchup for him overall. You might see a little bit of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is, a reasonable defender overall. But I do have Murray projected for 28 fantasy points. In this game, he's averaging about 24 so far on the season. Obviously, the minutes have kind of been all over the place, but seeing 32 last time out is a good sign overall. Then we moved down to the shooting guard with Klay Thompson. A very similar story. He's $5,500. We're looking for 27, 28 points out of him. Got him projected for 28 DraftKings points tonight, averaging 22 so far on the season. Should be a pretty good matchup versus the Orlando Magic overall. And we've seen his minutes increase in recent games. Then we move down to small forward with Franz Wagner, who is $6,700. We're looking for 33, 34 fantasy points out, averaging just over 29 so far on the season. If Terrence Ross ends up being out, Franz Wagner has pretty solidified minutes, some ball handling as well. Jalen Suggs being back may impact that just a little bit, but currently I have him projected for 33 fantasy points tonight. Then we move down to power forward with Povashevsky, who is $4,600. We're looking for 23 fantasy points out of him. This Oklahoma City rotation's kind of been all over the place this year. We'll see if he ends up starting. We'll see if he comes off the bench, how many minutes he plays overall. But a decent little play given his price tag. Currently, I'm projected for 24 fantasy points. If he gets the minutes, he's definitely going to pay off. If he doesn't, might be a little bit tougher day overall. But that's kind of a shot you have to be willing to take on a smaller game slate, especially in GPPs overall. Then last but not least, at the center position, we have Nikola Jokic at $11,400. We're looking for 57 fantasy points out of him tonight. He's averaging just over 52 on the season. Currently, I'm projected for 58 tonight. Oddly enough, last year he did struggle a little bit versus Oklahoma City Thunder, but a little bit of a different team overall. Should be a game that Denver is able to compete in. And Oklahoma City has actually been a little bit tougher this year in terms of putting up points, so it could be a back and forth game more so than normal or more so than you would expect. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, I have $16,200 remaining. $5,400 per player. So a little bit of an interesting slate overall. Maybe you want to take a little bit more balanced build on tonight. You can definitely do that and just have your 1-star player, whether it's a Nikola Jokic, a Steph Curry, a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, or you could try to stick 2-star players in there like a Nikola Jokic and a Steph Curry and a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikola Jokic, and then try to sneak some cheaper plays in as well. Maybe a couple bench guys that you think are going to get some minutes tonight and perform well in those minutes overall. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to FanDuel and talk about my picks over there as well. Once again, at the point guard position, we have Jamal Murray, is $5,600. Looking for 28 fantasy points out. I'm projected for 28 fantasy points tonight on FanDuel. He's averaging just under 23 so far on the season. Everything I said on DraftKings still applies. He's played 32 minutes his last game out. So obviously we've seen his minutes going up and up and up. And that's definitely a good sign for him tonight. Could be a pretty favorable matchup versus Oklahoma City Thunder as well. Then at shooting guard, we have Klay Thompson, $5,200. Pretty reduced price tag for him overall. Looking for 26 points out of him. He's averaging 20 so far on this season. Currently, I'm projected for 27 tonight. He's been shooting the ball pretty well. Been getting more minutes as of late, so definitely expect him to have a pretty solid game. And it's a good matchup versus the Orlando Magic overall as well. Then at small forward, we have Franz Wagner once again, $6,800, a little bit pricier on the FanDuel side. We're looking for 34 fantasy points out of him tonight, averaging just under 29 so far on the season. Currently, I'm projected for 33 tonight. Could be a pretty paced up spot with the Orlando Magic and the Golden State Warriors. If he's playing well tonight, definitely could perform up to his price tag overall and maybe a little upside for more as well. Then at power forward, we're going right back to Draymond Green. He's $5,700 once again. We're looking for 28, 29 fantasy points at him. He's averaging 27 so far in the season. In terms of mid-range guys that have a chance of getting a triple-double, Draymond Green's going to be there. Not saying it's going to happen very often, but there is a chance of it. So if you wanted to play him on DraftKings to get that extra bonus, you could do it as well. He's a couple of extra dollars there. But at this point in time, I do have him projected for 28 FanDuel points tonight. And then last but not least, we have Nikola Jokic once again, $11,500. Looking for 57, 58 fantasy points out of him tonight. Currently have him projected for 58. He's averaging 50 so far in the season. Could be a decent little matchup against the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight. Although, as I did mention earlier, on the DraftKings side, he struggled a little bit against them last year, but a little bit of a different team overall as well. And then once again, Oklahoma City Thunder have been putting up some more points, so less chance of a blowout than in years past. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players on the FanDuel side, you have $25,200 remaining, $6,300 per player. So you're going to have to get a little bit creative. Kind of like on the DraftKings side, you could do a little bit more balanced approach if that's something you really want to do. If you don't want to do the more balanced approach, then you could definitely slip in a Steph Curry, a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, pay up for somebody else like a Paulo Banchero if that's something you really want to do as well tonight. So there's definitely a couple different ways that you can go about tonight's slate. Going to be a little less variance since it's only a 2-game slate overall. Probably one that you want to play just a little bit lighter overall, but definitely could make for a very fun slate as well. But with that being said, these are my core 5 picks for both FanDuel and DraftKings for today, November 3rd. As always, if you have any questions related to NBA DFS, be sure to leave them down in the comments below and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to let me know your favorite play on tonight's slate, whether it's on FanDuel or DraftKings, whether it's someone from my core 5 picks or whether it's a completely different player. Definitely interested in hearing what you guys have to say. And then as always, I'll list all the injury updates throughout the day, as well as the starting lineups for the 2 games tonight. And then if there are any updates to the core throughout the day, I'll list them about 20 to 30 minutes prior to lock or when those updates do become available. But with that being said, if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at CoachCraigSports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now it is NBA and NFL DFS. And then with that being said, if you are a newer current subscriber who is yet to do so, also be sure to hit that notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I post up a new video. Like I've been saying, I do daily NBA DFS Core Pick videos just like this, Monday through Friday. Might mix in some on the weekends in the future as well, but not at this point in time. And then I do have my NFL DFS weekly core play video as well, which comes out on Friday or Saturday, just depending on the week. And then I also do the live streams for the single game showdown slates on DraftKings for the Thursday night and Monday night football games. So definitely be sure to check those out if that's something you're into as well. Also be sure to check out the Patreon at patreon.com/CoachCraigSports. There's a link down in the description below. If you're interested in NFL DFS content, if you're interested in NBA DFS content, there is some stuff that can help you there as well. But with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And then last but not least, special little shout out to each and every one of you watching today's video. I truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.